even if you're a small business and you've got a few thousand connections, use that as a basis to build your network and your business from. And it might not be them directly, but they'll know somebody. So that doesn't take any marketing effort, any ad spend, any sales resource. You can do that yourself, build on from there before you start doing other activities.
Are you content in your business? I'm Si McMahon, and I'm on a mission to help business leaders and brand owners succeed through sharing stories, advice, and inspiration. This is the Content in Business podcast. Welcome to Content in Business, the place where stories, advice, and inspiration is shared by me and my guests to help your business succeed. Today, I'm with Tom Happé, CEO and founder of Trueleads, who offer a modern solution for repeatable, scalable, and quality lead generation. Hi, Tom. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Si. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you on the show. Tell us more about Trueleads. Tell us about the business. Tell us about your journey.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Si. So Trueleads was born in the middle of the pandemic. I'd been in sales for about 12 years within cybersecurity, worked my way up from an internal sales rep, sort of cold calling, to a VP of sales. So I was doing sort of enterprise level sales, globally with some big brands, etc. Fortunately, got made redundant at the start of the lockdown, and I decided to set up a business that helped people generate leads. And I saw a bit of a gap in the market based on the fact that the traditional ways of lead generation, your cold calling and telemarketing, were already starting to decline a bit. But COVID sort of stopped that overnight, so it was a really, really hot time for us. So I started by helping companies that I knew and people that I knew within cybersecurity and software and tech generate leads on LinkedIn. 4 years later, we've grown that, scaled the team. We've got customers around the globe, including some big enterprises right down to small businesses. We've developed our own technology. We've started looking at other services other than LinkedIn. But essentially have bootstrapped that in 4 years and grown the business and the team from nothing in my garage to now an office and a team and executive team and a board and within 4 years. So it's been quite a journey, but it's all born off of the fact I've been in sales so many years and use that experience of that hard graft in terms of the lead gen and prospecting, which nobody really wants to do. So we take that away from you and automate that process for you to get you in front of the right people at the right time, essentially. So high level, that's what we do here.
More and more I hear really successful businesses are businesses that really niche down. And that really sounds like something that you do in Trueleads.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that it hasn't always been like that. I think when we first started, especially when you're first starting out, and for anyone listening, just starting out, you sort of need to do that a little bit in terms of, we had customers that were small, large, different sizes, and you have to go through that, I think, to learn what's working, what doesn't. But over the last sort of 18 months or so, we have niched down mainly on the enterprise space. It's what I know. It's sort of we're helping teams of organizations that need to generate leads, and people literally phone me and saying, look, the traditional ways are just not working anymore. The way I used to do it was dialing and hitting the phones. One, I can't find those people anymore, can't find their contact details. And two, they're just harder to get hold of. So you need to be looking earlier in the funnel in terms of your content, your marketing, your outreach on LinkedIn and other channels. So yeah, we have over time niched down. But it did take a little while to get to that point for a lot of learning.
And you kind of insinuated a little bit of a journey there. Has the journey been what you've expected?
That's a great question. I'm not sure what I expected, to be honest. I've always had the desire to have my own business. Even when I was about 10, I've always wanted to have my own business. And I started out at university. I had a business and always been quite entrepreneurial. But I slowly, after university graduation, slipped into the sort of sales role. And I think sometimes it can be a bit of a trap because you start earning good money. It's a good lifestyle, and I sort of put it on the back burner, but always had that burning desire to do my own thing. So I'm not sure you could explain to anybody exactly what's involved until you do it, which is why it's good to, part of a few networks with other founders, and you don't really know until you get into it. But I think one thing you do learn is that, you will come across a lot of challenges, but you will get through them. And I think some of the challenges you go through, you can't really avoid. You have to go through issues with the team, cash flow issues, customer. You have to do that to learn. So I don't think you can read all the books and listen to all the podcasts you want, but until you've done it, I don't think you're going to really understand how to get through those situations.
Yeah, there's a lot of theory out there, but ultimately it's the practical, those practical scenarios that you get put in that you do have to, just hope that you've read up and learned as much as you can and been as prepared as possible. But challenges will come and hit you on the way. What was the turning point or the tipping point or the trigger that made you, pick up that dream of owning a business and take that leap?
There was two things really, probably three. So one was, I was in my sales role. I was doing really well, and I've been there about 18 months. Still finding my feet a little bit as you start a new role. We had a lot of changes internally and a new director coming in, etc. So there was a part of me that was looking for a new challenge. I was like, I'm really getting a bit fed up with this corporate world, and I was starting to plan, how I could exit and build my own business. So I was starting a bit of a side hustle. It was in a completely different market. It was going to be more cybersecurity focused. So I was started looking at that and had a plan to do that. Then COVID was hitting, sort of March, April 2020. So although I wanted to take the plunge, I was thinking maybe it's not the right time. There's a lot going on in the world. So I sort of, although I had the plan, I had it all ready to go, I still didn't want to pull the trigger. But luckily, I had a call from my VP of sales at the time and the head of HR, and within the middle of the lockdown saying you're being made redundant. So I saw that as a sign to do this, So I had a bit of redundancy money. I set up an office in my home garage and started the business, So, and I think one thing we got very, very lucky with, which a lot of businesses don't, is we found a sort of market fit within weeks, because it was I already knew the problem because I've been doing it so long. I already had a great network of people I could reach out to, and we already had a way to help them generate leads. So we actually got our first few orders within the first week and prove the concept. So it was, it wasn't like months and months of testing. We hit it straight out the blocks, basically. So there was probably two or three things that led to it, but I saw that as a sign to continue.
It's interesting because you kind of got nudged into the opportunity, but considering the timing and the circumstances and everything that was going on in the world at that time, it would have been so easy to go, even though there's this opening or this possibility. I'm just a little bit too, I've been nervous about it. But what I hear time and time again is that if there's a level of confidence behind what you can do and what you will do, you're more likely to capture that possibility and capitalize on it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think any other time, I think I would have been applying for other jobs and been very scared and frightened of what was lying ahead. But I didn't even have that in my mind. I was like, this is the chance now. This is going to work. And I just knuckled down and did it. I was like, this is sort of meant to be now. So focused on that. And I think that's one thing you need to be committed. And there was a period within the first year or 18 months that you are thinking, is this right? You get people coming back to you with job offers and things like naturally. And that was very tempting. And for a period of time, I did go back for a couple of months into the corporate world, but I quit straight away and was like, no, I'm going off path again. So I think you can't really have that hesitation. You've got to be all in or not, because I think you can easily get distracted. So, but you will get the distractions, but you eventually got to ignore them.
Yeah, absolutely right. And so what is it about the business that that's got you to this point? I mean, obviously you talked about the growth and everything. What is it that's really set you apart and driven that success?
There's probably a few things. I think the main thing is we're trying to be different. My whole time during sales for 10 years or so, it was the same method of doing this. It was, to get enough leads into your pipeline, you find your contacts, you call as many as you can in a day, and you book your meetings, and that was the process. And then you can either outsource that, you can hire people internally to do that, but that was the whole model. So we're sort of saying that, people are still doing that, but actually you need to be thinking of this completely different. You need to be building your network on LinkedIn. You need to be building great content. You need to be tracking who's hitting your website. You need to be looking at the latest buyer intent data. So everything else in the world is going digital, and so is lead generation. So you need to be shifting your mindset. And I think sometimes when you're speaking to heads of sales, VPs of sales, CROs, head of marketing, etc., they know this deep down, but they don't have enough time, or I guess there's a certain fear in changing that direction because this is what they know. So it's sort of a shift in mindset. But for the people that want to embrace it, they're the ones that are getting ahead and just having a new approach to sort of lead and demand generation. And this is the same if you're an enterprise or a small business. We've generated all 90% of our leads from LinkedIn and from this process. Like I haven't done a cold call in 10 years. So it's sort of like it works if you embrace it. But it's trying to shift people's mindset, I guess, a bit. But I'd say that's the main thing. Is you're doing something different to the competition.
I think it's certainly something that we say is the level of activity is a massive deciding factor. I mean, obviously, it's got to be quality activity. You've got to bring something to the table, but the scale and the frequency of the activity is overlooked by so many companies. The ones who are posting once a week and doing the odd connection and not really doing too much in terms of the activity, commenting, liking, sharing, those kind of things. They're just leaving so much opportunity on the table because the businesses that are succeeding are the ones that are always on, aren't they? They're always present and always front of mind.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's so. Previous to this, when I was in that sales role, I was doing this sort of activity on the side of, we had a business development team that were getting me a handful of leads, but I was proactively using LinkedIn to get meetings, and people didn't know how I was doing it. And I was automating things, and I was looking at intent data, and I was doing this myself, and topping up the leads I was getting from the business anyway. So I was always self-sufficient at doing that. But I think we're in an age now with, many automation tools. We've got AI, we got all you got more tools than ever as a sales professional. It's all there in front of us. In fact, it's probably too much. But it's trying to find the pieces that are going to work for you and bringing that together in a sort of process that works. But you're totally right. If you're not doing these things and you're still sat there doing this manually, or you're still hitting the phones every day wondering what's going wrong, you need to sort of change your approach, because the people that are doing this, it's a quality game, but it's the numbers as well, like the velocity that you can use these tools now to increase your capacity as a sales professional or business owner. So while we're sat here now, our platform's working and automating my outreach to many people, and while we're having this conversation.
Yeah, always on, or always
Exactly.
on communication activity.
Yeah.
What's the vision for the company? What's the big dream or the end game?
Yeah, I've asked that quite a lot. I'm not sure. You get sort of distracted sometimes in the end game, because there's a lot of especially in the sort of startup world, and whether you get funding and you get exit and all these sort of things. But I'm quite focused on one. I found something that I really enjoy and love. I've got a young family, so that's really important to me. So that balance is really good. But I think for me, I'm not thinking too far ahead in terms of what that looks like. I want to build something that's scalable, that's sustainable for a long time. build it in the right way, and build a really solid team that enjoy working here. And one thing that's been really rewarding for this whole process is the people we've hired and taking them on that journey of coming from doing something completely different to over 2 or 3 years developing into a sales professional or a customer success role. So that's really important to me. In terms of 5-10 years, what that looks like, I'm not sure. At the moment, we're bootstrapped, we're self-funded. We're building a solid team. But I would like to think that within 4 or 5 years, we are seen as, if not the lead or one of the leaders in digital first lead generation, especially for enterprises within the globe.
What do you see as some of the challenges that you can see going forward, realizing that vision, or some of the things that you've been struggling with throughout the journey so far?
I think that there's a couple of challenges, I think, and opportunities in the same sense. I think one thing would be finding, well, what is for any business, isn't it? Finding and retaining the right talent for the team with so many opportunities now globally that people can get involved with. So that's key, finding the right people. And then on the technology side of things is, with the rise of AI and the competition within these spaces is going to increase. I think we're at a really sweet spot where we're taking the best of breed products and services and wrapping a really nice service around that. And that's similar to what I did in the cybersecurity space. So I think it's less important around the tech, but there's processes and the technology around that makes it successful. Because there's no point having all the latest technology, but you're not utilizing it. But it's keeping up to date with the latest developments in that. I think is probably the biggest challenge with the rise of AI and things that are coming down the line, because it's shifting every week. It's shifting and changing, and there's different things developing. So that's probably the major challenge.
I think with AI, there's a lot of various debate and speculation around how to use it best. And I think I guess like with any tool, there's so much potential to use it badly.
Yeah.
I can almost see the people that do it right will absolutely succeed. There'll be so many people that do it wrong. It's kind of like email. When email was really becoming a strong marketing tool, there was so much bad email marketing going on that anything that was any quality and done properly really stood out for a long time.
Yeah. And that's the challenge. That's exactly it. There's a lot of people doing this, what we do, very badly, and spamming people, annoying people on LinkedIn and emails, etc. But that's sort of the part of the authenticity and the true lead is, that's not us. We're around the high quality approach, like with the right content, the right messaging, the right timing, like getting all those things together is quite an art and skill to do that. But you're totally right. With the wrong approach, automation AI is great, but it's either going to go this way and be great, but done wrong, it's going to accelerate things in completely the other direction. It's going to accelerate things in one or two ways, isn't it? So if you're not getting it right, it's going to tarnish things for you.
And so I can imagine that there's quite an obvious answer to this question in one sense, in terms of the fact of what you do on a marketing side, or certainly a lead generation side. Obviously, as a business, it's your bread and butter. But on a wider picture, how do you market your business currently, and what have you found that's really worked for you, and what's been more of a challenge?
Yeah, so this is really, really poignant point, actually, because it's something we're looking at now, realizing that most of our businesses has come from LinkedIn. A lot of it's come from my personal brand and my network, and now trying to get more of our team doing the same process on LinkedIn. The personal branding piece is really powerful for us. I really believe in that. Even if you've got a few hundred or 1,000 contacts, you're going to have people there that you can sell to and position things to. So that'd be number one for us, is really nailing down and focusing on what we've been good at. But there are other things we're doing in terms of our content strategy. There's not much content going out from us as a company at the moment, but we've we've recently doing a webinar series with a number of industry leaders, which we're interviewing, and that's going to be launched soon. So again, not around the sort of quantity, but the real quality content that we're going to be sharing and building sort of our own webinar. And then on the side of next side of that would be optimizing things like our website, things which we haven't spent a lot of time on, but now we're in, especially in that enterprise space, we need to make sure that that's on point in terms of our branding there. So yeah, there's a lot to do, and as a small growing business, you can't do it all. So you really have to focus on what's working. So for me personally, it's the personal brand, the LinkedIn side of things, but then trying to develop that further. We've recently got a CMO who's joined, who's helping with a lot of this. But so yeah, we are building out more of a strategy for other channels as well.
Personal branding at the moment is such a real edge that businesses can lean into, and I think it's often, despite that, either people haven't caught up or they're just not prioritizing. It's usually kind of one of the last things to plug in on top of everything else. But with yourself, you seem to really have put that front and center first and foremost.
Yeah, absolutely. I think again, it started. I was doing a little bit of this in my sales role, but it's much harder to do that when you're in the sort of corporate world and you've got your boss you're thinking about what people are thinking, etc. But any business owner, I'd recommend you start doing something, especially on LinkedIn. I went to an event last week, and the first thing everybody said was, "Oh, I saw you." But they know what's going on because they're seeing the story developing. So there's no sort of you don't need an introduction. They know what's happening in your business and your life effectively. So I'd recommend that any business owner starts doing that and not overthinking it, but sharing a couple of posts a week, and you'll be amazed by, it's not necessarily the people that comment on your posts or like your posts. Most of the time it's not. It's the people that will DM you off the side of that, and I saw your post, or they phone you, or they contact you on the side of that. But you'll be surprised that there's people seeing it that you're not aware of. They'll be the ones that you'll end up having as customers, for example. And then the other thing as well is, before you start going on that journey, especially on LinkedIn, is sharing content to the right audience. So when I was in my role before, I noticed I had a couple of thousand connections, but most of them were recruiters, people I worked with, people I went to university with. They weren't really my prospects. So I'd spend some time, especially on LinkedIn again, in building your network with your target audience, because when you're sharing things, they're the people that are seeing it, not just your friends and family and things that you're already connected with. So build your network and then try and share regularly would be my advice.
There was a big kind of thing in my head when I first started to put content through my own channels, was that I didn't care what the world thought of me personally or how I came across or anything. As long as I was confident that the content was good, I didn't really care. But the thing that was making me nervous was the friends and family.
Yeah.
To so much to a point that I actually said, look, this is what my channel is about now. Feel free to unfollow me. Feel free to not be connected. I won't be offended.
Yeah.
But what I post is not going to be for you. We'll catch up. We'll catch up separately or in person as friends and family. Not on social.
Yeah. No, I think you're totally right, and that's probably the thing holding most people back, because their boss is looking at this, their colleagues, etc. It's a lot harder because you're worried about what people think. But I think the more you do it, the less you'll be worried about that. And also, once you start seeing success from it, the less you're going to, if you're a salesperson, you're sharing posts, you're getting deals, you're hitting your target, and one or two people, take the mickey, doesn't really matter. Like, it wouldn't bother me. But, and then again, as a business owner, when it's something you're building, I think it's a lot easier to be able to do that. But I've got the same thing on other channels, thinking, do we do more on Instagram and TikTok and other things? But you've got more friends and family on there, so it's a harder journey, but something I want to try and embrace, I think.
It's I think there was something a friend commented around. I can't remember what it was, but I remember just kind of, as a friend saying, to be fair, it's not for you. So you might wonder, what I'm talking about, or not really understand what I'm talking about. But you in a completely different business sector, so But so what would the one piece of advice that you would give to another business owner be?
One piece of advice, I think. Right. In terms of growing your business and with what looking back at probably the one thing that's been successful with Trueleads would be exactly based on what we're talking around here, is utilising your network to get things going. And I think that's been the basis of this. That all through my career, built good relationships, like with my bosses and people I knew, and like partners and vendors, and that all that's coming to fruition now because I've built that network, and now they're sort of prospects and customers that we work with. So even if you're a small business and you've got a few thousand connections or 100 connections, or your friends and family, that use that as a basis to build your network and your business from. And it might not be them directly, but they'll know somebody. So if you ask 10 people or tell 10 people what you're doing, they'll be able to recommend somebody that they'll know. So I think that doesn't take any marketing effort, any ad spend, any sales resource. You can do that yourself. And even today, I still get people I used to work with, or I did a meeting with, or there used to be a partner coming to me asking me for help with lead generation. So I think without that, your business would be a very different place to what it is now. So I'd say whatever business that was, whether you were a hairdresser or a mechanic or a SaaS business or whatever you are, use the network you've already got to build on from there before you start doing other activities.
And it's more authentic and it's more personal, and just a closer relationship with people, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the authenticity is key. Like if you're being yourself, it's something you believe in, something you're passionate about, something you're hopefully good at, then people will see that and resonate. That's what the personal branding is all about. And now it's whether you're running a small business or a larger enterprise now, even the larger companies are realizing that, and you'll see that the face of that business is now the CEO, the founders, the senior execs being the face of those businesses, rather like an Elon Musk, etc. That it's the personal brand that people are buying into, not necessarily the company brand. So I think it's a really, really hot market and a hot topic that I think any business could take advantage of that in today's society.
Well, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing not only your story, but the advice and the kind of whole mindset and tips that you provided throughout. Thanks for joining the show.
Brilliant.
Really enjoyed it.
Thanks, Si. Yeah, really enjoyed it. Thank you.
We'll keep in touch and see how you get on, and maybe have an update in future as well.
Do it again, yeah. Yep, for that, definitely. Thanks, Si.
And thanks everyone for watching or listening again. Please like, share, subscribe, and most importantly, stay content in your business.